Hey Skalds and Shadows, welcome back to another episode of Podcast from the Twilight World. I know it's been a little bit. I apologize. I was recovering from a very minor surgery, and we had a little scheduling conflicts with some of our guests, but we're here to bring you, in celebration of the Legacy of the Darklands album, a past and future secret. That would be the past Blind Guardian open air, which we are going to talk about today with Eike Buchse from Germany. He's a member of our community, and he went to the first Blind Guardian open air, so we're very excited to talk about it. And then later on, you'll also see the future secret, a brand new fan to the band. We discuss his love as well, so check out that video as well. Hopefully, if all goes well, it'll be linked to this one at the end. But without further ado, welcome to the Twilight World. Hello, Guardians of the Blind and Travelers in Time, and welcome. I, as always, am your humble bard, and today we are joined by our bardic brother, Eike Buchse, from Germany. Welcome, Eike.
Thank you, Mr. Bell. It's very nice to meet you.
The pleasure's all mine, my friend. Not every day we get to meet somebody who was at the first Blind Guardian open air. For those of you that didn't read the title before clicking the video, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Eike and I want to take you back to June 13th and 14th, 2003, Coburg, Bavaria, Germany.
Yeah, right? That's correct.
So, Eike, you were in attendance for that one. It's obviously a close place in your heart. But let's go back even further than that, man. When did you first become a fan? Like, when did you first hear of the Bards?
Okay, that was in the Easter time of 1999, I believe. I was about 14 years old, and I was highly into gospel music. Okay, so choir singing, proud, forceful choir voices. And I was also a fan of Tolkien's work, as I am today still. But I was a full-blood Lord of the Rings fan. I read and reread the books all over again. And I had a friend at that time, I still have him today. His name's Andy. And Andy said, well, you like Lord of the Rings? And he said, yeah, of course. And he said, what about, I tell you, I have music that resembles the Lord of the Rings books. I said, no way. And what Andy did was he got me into his room and he put on this.
Oh, classic.
And I said, what is this? To this very moment in 1999, I had virtually no touch points with heavy metal music. None. Not on CD, not in radio, nowhere. And he put this in the CD player and pushed for track 1, War of Wrath, and it sat there. I thought, what is this? What is this magical stuff? I said, wait, it keeps getting better by the track.
It does though, right? It does though. That's about it. It definitely does. One of my favorite albums, actually, Nightfall, is one of my departure points too. My story's kind of similar to yours too, in that way that I had my family. My mom loves to read, and we'd always been big Tolkien fans. So she used to read us Lord of the Rings every year. Especially when the movie was scheduled to come out and stuff like that. So being excited, stuff like that. That was the days of LimeWire and Napster and stuff like that. I'm ashamed to admit. But I came across Lord of the Rings by a band. I'm like, oh, there's music for that. And of course, I think it might have been The Hobbit, actually. It might not have been Lord of the Rings. It might have been The Hobbit. But then from there on out, I just was like, whoa, I've got to hear this. We hadn't read the Silmarillion yet. And when I found out there was an album dedicated to it, I didn't even want to read the book. I wanted to get the album first so I could listen to it and then read the book. So that's kind of my experience too. It's funny how we we all kind of start with a weird departure point. Everyone's different. Some people are more somewhere far beyond. Some people are Nightfall. Some people are Night of the Opera. But the stories are also eerily similar, hey?
Yeah, and I believe that what I experienced is a typical or sort of average entry point for many Blind Guardian fans, because this band has the ability not only to entertain you by the music, that's what many bands do, many successful bands do, but they also they delight your brain, okay, and to teach and to delight is two things that make great novels, great stories, and that is some things that this is something that entwines the entertainment with something bigger, and that lasts, I believe. This is something that is going over time in your life. I don't know if I conveyed this correctly, but if you listen to music and you like it, it's okay music, like stuff on the radio or stuff that mediocre bands play or whatever. That's okay. You listen to that stuff, and as soon as you pause it, it's gone. Okay. I don't believe that this won't happen with Blind Guardian stuff, because you can not only enjoy it while listening to the music, but also while doing other stuff. Like if you read a book, I can't explain this in English. This is how it works.
No, I'm following you. You're making a good point here.
Wait. Maybe I can I can make this a little easier.
Yeah.
What Blind Guardian sets themselves off from other bands is that their music, their approach to songwriting is somewhat more sophisticated, I believe, in comparison to other bands. Does that make sense to you?
100%. Actually, I think in my first video I touched on, that really, because for me, when I came into it, I came in right after A Twist in the Myth is really when that's around the same time, 2006, 2007. I had no idea that they took 4 or 5 years per album at that point. Right. So for me as a new fan, I'm waiting for the next gravy. I'm waiting for the music to come along. But that's the thing about Blind Guardian is they don't release things until it's till it's met perfection. As far as the bards are concerned, anyways, right?
Yeah, I think exactly like you do. They put a lot of effort into the quality of the content of their work, not only the musical stuff, which is highly sophisticated as well, but also into the things they want to tell you by their music through the lyrics or through the notes they play. And this is what really puts them on another level compared to maybe any other band of our genre. Okay.
I 100% agree with you, man.
Okay,
totally.
Great.
And it's it's kind of interesting too, because we have different perspectives. Like, we're both bards. We're both we obviously have very similar views and our opinions of Blind Guardian. Just from what I'm hearing so far, I mean, we're only a couple minutes in, but I definitely am seeing some similarities to my own feelings. But what's interesting to me is since I wasn't around at the time of the Blind Guardian, I mean, I was born, I was around, but I wasn't a Blind Guardian fan in 2003 yet. Like, I had a couple years yet to simmer. What was it like being in Europe, being in Germany, to hear that Blind Guardian was going to be having a music festival of their own? Because most bands aren't able to put on, like, host a festival, let alone have attendance, right?
I would call it. To be fully true, I cannot remember anymore. It must have been somewhere in 2002, 1 year prior to the festival, when I read an interview in Rock Hard magazine, or I saw an ad in the same magazine promoting the festival. But I am pretty sure that I jumped right into, I don't know, the ordering process of getting more information about this. This was at a time where I had no internet connection, I believe. or maybe a shitty internet connection, and I couldn't buy tickets online. And but I was pretty sure that we, the fans who could attend this, were into something really special, because this was a one of a kind type of event at a one of a kind time and place, because at the end of the tour that started in 2002, and I gathered all my friends. Some of my friends, I called them and said, "Hey, there's something going on. Let's get tickets to that." And I could manage to get 4 of them to join me on the trip to Coburg.
Oh, what I wouldn't give to be number 5 on that day. Well, that's cool, man. So there was 4 of you that went. Had you been to Coburg before? Because from my understanding, they mentioned in an interview that I've read, Coburg had never had a music festival there before. Is that right?
That might be true. Coburg isn't that big of a town, and the venue, the site this festival took place was a land out piece of land from the border patrol, border security. I can't translate it into English, but it was a big place made of concrete, strips of grass, and barrack housings, I believe. And I don't believe there's some form of art institute today on that site, but I don't believe that there was anything similar to that back in 2003. But I don't know. Somebody must have brought the band to the idea that this was a cool location, which turned out it was.
Definitely, no. I mean, you can tell from like just the shots of the festival, the behind the scenes, like it just the magic there. Like they really couldn't have picked a better location at the time. I mean, I know it was chosen for camping, but it definitely lent itself to the visual aspect of it all in the middle of a forest, that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, of course. And one big advantage of this festival compared to many other festivals I have been to was that it was sort of compact in size and as well as in the duration of the festival. Okay, that venue wasn't that vast compared to I don't know, the big 20, 30, 50,000 people shows that are there today. You had your camping ground with some meters of space between your tent and the tent of the next person. You had one infield with one stage, and on that single stage, there were 16 shows on 2 days. It wasn't that big. Today, we see festivals that last 3 days, 4 days, maybe even a week, with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever stages, how many stages you want, with 60 or 100 or whatever bands. And the fans, I believe, get exhausted by that at some point. On a festival day, number 4, you're dead. You're sunburned, you're starved, or you're overfed and drank you pretty much drank too much alcohol, slept too little, or whatever. And the Blind Guardian Open Air didn't have any of that. It was 2 days of music, or 1.5 days, because the festival Friday started at 4 o'clock, I believe, which is pretty late in terms of nowadays festivals, which start at 11 or 12 o'clock noon. And so fans could take all their energy and transfer this to the 16 shows they were able to see there. Okay, catch my drift? It was 60 bands that you have to cheer and to clap and to sing and whatever you do, but 16. Okay, and this kept a lot of energy for the one and only headliner you wanted to see on this very festival. It wasn't 4 or 5 or 6 headliners which you had to choose between, but one. So instead of a buffet, which is a modern festival, where go to pick a band, watch it, or don't, or go back to your tent, or don't, or have a beer somewhere else, or don't, or whatever. You took the whole lot of it as a menu. Okay, it was a course by course thing until the main dish at 10 p.m. each night. 2 Blind Guardian shows. And I believe that this made or gave the fans attending the festival the opportunity to put all their energy into these 2 shows. And I believe you can see a lot of this energy on this DVD.
Absolutely. And I mean, like, honestly, it captures, I think I mentioned before in the intro, it captures a bit of the magic. But to be there, I'd imagine, like, it's hard to imagine it being more uplifting than the DVD, because when you watch the DVD, by the time you get to Mirror Mirror, which is the final track on the first disc, you're left with sort of like a feeling of that, you know, an energy that you get from a concert, you know, that kind of drained feeling that you get. So I guess my question to you is, since it was 16, right? 16 openers?
Right, 16 acts, yeah.
And they ranged all the way from, you know, Gravedigger to Napalm Death to Soil Work. The list goes on, right? So did you, with 4 guys, did you guys hit every single show, or did you guys save your energy for the bards? How did that work?
We missed 1 show, I believe. If my mind doesn't trick me, we missed the Galadriel show because we went swimming at that time.
That's not a bad track record, though. I mean, considering a festival nowadays, right?
Yeah, the swimming pool wasn't ejected to the campground, so we walked some minutes, I believe, and we found out that a lot of the fans attending the festival had the same idea. And so in that small town of Coburg, there were some lifeguards on duty which were wondering why their swimming pool was overcrowded with metal fans not speaking their language or whatever. But we all behaved, and that made it easier for the people of Coburg.
And that's my question too. Since Coburg wasn't used to metalheads, wasn't used to any kind of festival, party goers, that sort of thing, what was the reaction like? Did you have any troubles with the townsfolk? What was
No.
Like?
The only thing fans were facing was a lack of guidance through the town. Normally, when you try to attend a festival in Germany, there are lots of traffic signs guiding you and your car into the direction you have to go, because they want to have people roaming the city and taking up all the parking spots and whatever. And Coburg didn't have that. And the BGS site, that's the name of the venue, isn't that place to be because there's virtually nothing without this festival. And so we had quite a difficult time to find it in advance. But I don't know if the public noticed in any way that we were around, because as Mr. Kirsch said in one of the interviews on the DVD, Blind Guardian fans are disciplined fans. We are nice and disciplined people, and that's why we do not stand out in a negative way. And this is why we were greeted guests in the swimming pool even on day 2.
Even on day, okay, so day
even on day 2, yeah.
That's a feat, right?
Yeah.
Now, you touched on it there, but I mean, the first day, just before Blind Guardian hit the stage that night, because when you watch the beginning of this DVD and when War of Wrath was playing, you can feel the tension. From the crowd, the anticipation. Can you walk us through what it was like going through the gates that day? I mean, we know there was no violence. In that same interview, they mentioned too about song and drink, being a huge thing. Can you kind of capture that for us? This for those of us that didn't go.
The thing about this crowd attending this festival is that you were only surrounded, or merely, you were exclusively surrounded by Blind Guardian fans, which made it easier to get in contact with the people on the camping site. Okay, if you attend a regular festival with a mixed crowd, you may find yourself mingled with people you cannot relate to because they, I don't know, because they listen to music you don't like, or because they are, I don't know, corpse-painted black metal people and you can't deal with corpse-painted black metal people, or they're punk people and you don't like punk people, or whatever this is. And this festival attendees were exclusively Blind Guardian fans, and this is why you had a point to relate to at all times. And we have taken some shitty pictures with our shitty digi cams at that time, and we went through. I gathered my people, and we went through these pictures again, and we have some. There was some interesting stuff, except me very killed, and then nothing that's not interesting. But we had interesting pictures, and these were a big group picture of about 12 to 15 people, which I have never seen before, and I had never seen again after. And we were hugging each other like a soccer club, standing there and giving the horns up or whatever. And I asked my friends, why did we take this picture? Who were they? And they said, well, I don't know. They were Blind Guardian fans. We were family for a weekend. And we browsed through these pictures, and I saw that we shared dinner with them. We saw the inside of big tents and pavilions, and we sat there having 2 or 3 barbecues popped up. Somebody was playing guitar or whatever. And these were like close, personal, maybe even intimate pictures of people having their dinner, eating or drinking or cheering or putting their glasses together, toasting to each other. And this was, I believe, what happened all over the festival place. There were strangers who became friends for 2 days, just to party for the one band everybody loved on this festival, Blind Guardian. And this is what you can anticipate before the first song on this DVD starts. The cutscene where we see the title, Imaginations Through the Looking Glass, is when War of Wrath starts or is merely starting. You see floor spots up to the gown that conceals the stage. And as soon as the ambient light was shut off and you see the floor spots were turned on, you could see the people, I could hear or feel a tremor going through the people, everybody raising their hands in the air. And you could hear when War of Wrath started, you heard 10,000 people renditioning the lyrics of this opener. And as soon as it was the opener was over and the flashbangs set off that made this gown go away, it was an outburst of energy of those people who have waited days or hours on the first day or whatever you call it, to party on this special moment. And I don't know if if a DVD can capture this, it can maybe capture this, but it's somewhat maybe. No, it's not indescribable. Hansi Kirsch himself described it on the bonus part. There's a making of Blind Guardian making of the festival in 2003, and it shows a very short scene. It's about 2 or 3 seconds when the show is already over, and Hansi Kirsch and I believe it was Markus Sieben are standing stage left and talking to each other. And the show's over. Everything is black on stage, and Hansi turns to the crowd and asks, "Can they see us?" He asks his opposing person, "Can they see us? Can the fans see us?" And the other guy says, "No, why?" And Hansi turns to the crowd again and says, "Why are they still singing?"
Man, I gotta say, man, like, first of all, you need to send me that group picture, because I think that's important for all of us to see in that, because the amount of bonding and camaraderie that is. Like, we always refer to each other, and I mean, you're part of the Facebook group as well. We always refer to each other as brothers and sisters, right? Bardic brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
But to hear an event where we actually all could, I mean, like, outside of the shows, like a festival is an entirely different feel. To be like family with a group of people over a weekend, it doesn't happen at all festivals. It really doesn't. And I think that's really cool that you can capture that. So, let's dig into it then. Imaginations Through the Looking Glass, that's the DVD. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you do. If for no other reason, I mean, there's 20 tracks on here, so going into all of them, we might be here all night, which I know Aika would probably be good with. I'm definitely good with, but I'm sure that those of you watching, probably are either familiar with it or want to see it for yourself. So let's just cover some of the highlights, which starting for me, I think that Script was the first one that really stood out for me. It's a great cover. It's a great version of it. I don't know. I think that the bass and the keys steal it. Michael and Oliver really just kind of steal the show on this one. It's a lot more prominent than the studio version as well. When you listen to them side by side, at least that's what I found too. Do you remember during Script what the atmosphere was kind of like?
Oh wow, that's pretty steep to tell. But I have to check. This is number 5 on the DVD, and it was. I don't believe it. Was it number 5 on the actual set? Because this is somewhat edited together. The two shows are edited into each other. But Script for My Requiem is always a blast for the fans. The things I can't tell is if the studio, how and in what way it differs from the studio version, because I'm not a musician. I'm not trained to hear like you to hear differences in bass and in bass or in the keys. So this might be something you might talk about, which I can't, because this is none of my profession. Okay.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. No, totally. And it's, I think that at that point in the DVD too, you can really see the crowd starting to heat up. Like, you can really see the chemistry between the band. And I would say, I'd argue, Banished from Sanctuary too. That's another one where I felt like the crowd was just really connected to the band in lots of different ways. And of course, I don't think we could really talk about the DVD without talking about Valhalla, which, being there, was repraised 2 or 3 times, was it, during the DVD? I know you guys broke into song a couple times.
It was 2 times, I believe. One time was merely planned by the band, I think, and the second time was totally uncalled for by the band. Valhalla is always a great live experience. Like many of the songs that you can experience on this DVD are live killers, but I really cannot tell what's the special thing about that Valhalla song that gets the crowd up every time. I love it, okay, but I cannot describe why it is such a magic song to sing to.
And that's it too, because for most people, it sounds almost like, everybody knows it as a live staple. It's in every live show. It and Majesty are, if you don't hear one of them at a live show, there's something wrong, because they're such huge staples of it. But really, when they put it compiling the set list for the DVD, that's really the climax of where everything just sort of kicks into overdrive. And it's, for those of us who are huge fans of Blind Guardian, we've heard that song live a million times, but something about the crowd, they're doing the harmony. It's a live favorite, but it really just something special about it on this version. I don't know. It's definitely one of my favorite live versions for sure.
Valhalla is a great song to sing to as a fan, because it's quite convenient and somewhat easy to sing to, okay? The band on the stage notices it, because there's much power coming from the crowd onto the stage, because everybody in the crowd can sing this stuff. And so they can take this very song as a pillar of their live show, put it in every live show, make the crowd sing it, and so this becomes a circulation thing. The crowd loves to sing it, the band likes to play it because the crowd loves to sing it. The crowd loves to sing it because the band plays it on every live show, and this goes on and on and on like a tornado. Okay?
Right, and
I don't know if
that's
this makes any sense at all.
No,
but,
no, it's totally, you hit it right? Like it's circulation, cyclical, totally.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
the thing about it is too, though, you mentioned it's easy to sing and stuff like that. But what's really interesting about this DVD in particular, and the festival in general, that I think is part of the magic, is there was so much melody from the crowd. Like there were times when it's hard to differentiate whether it's the crowd singing a part or whether it's Hansi, because when you listen, specifically Last Candle, I think that's really apparent. There's like at the end, when it's somebody's out there, there is a 3-part harmony that goes on with the crowd, and it's phenomenal. It's not something you get because we're all used to hearing Valhalla live and hearing a drunk guy, spout it out, just kind of shouting it. I mean, I got bootlegs that can show you that for sure. But to hear people sing perfectly on time, but not just in time, in tune, also in a harmony, that's magical,
And I believe that's pretty rare among the crowds of other bands. I believe Blind Guardian fans stand out on this. They take much pride in reciting the lyrics correctly and in trying to get the right tone to it. Maybe that's part of what Hansi Kirsch called discipline. Okay, I have never seen drunk out of their minds Blind Guardian crowd. Nowhere. Okay, people like to have their fun. People like to have the beers and get everything wet in their mouth and in their throats, so they can sing loud and nice and clear. But they enjoy the content of the music. That's something that maybe refers to the entrance of our dialogue that we're having. Blind Guardian shows are kind of a rare stuff that doesn't happen every year. And Blind Guardian songs are somewhat cherished in their entirety by the bands. And this is something you, as a fan, I believe, do not want to spoil by singing it incorrectly or engaging in it in a uncalled or undignified way, which would, shouting and crying and whatever it is would be. And maybe this is something that is retraceable all through this DVD of the Kobach show.
I think you're right. Actually, I touched base. This video is being released as a past and future sort of thing. The Blind Guardian Festival being a huge staple of the past. And I met with another fan who's new to Blind Guardian. I gave him a list of stuff to listen to, and that was one thing when we were talking about what makes a Blind Guardian fan. To me, it's always been there's the storytellers, the songsters. It really, there's something different about Blind Guardian fans in the sense that not just being regular laid back people like they mentioned in the DVD, but also very musical, very lyrical, I guess is the only way I can really put it. Something special about it. But I think when you speak of it, being rare, crowd singing in time, and you're right, like Blind Guardian has had some in the past, and there's usually the crowd is pretty good, and it's definitely special here. But the other rare thing that we saw at this show that we don't get hardly ever is, and then there was silence. I mean, what was it like to see that live? Because that is something that so few of us get a chance to see, because A, it's an epic, and B, it's so complex musically, they rarely do it live.
Yeah, right. I believe Marcus Sieben once said that they have to decide very carefully if they take, and then there was silence to show, because it takes up the space for 3 songs. And I have to admit that this song had to grow on me. Okay, I wasn't that much of a fan of it when it came out in 2002. It was 2002, I believe.
Yep.
Because of its sheer length. I don't know why this bothered me at that time. I love that song today, but 2002 was a different thing. And it was somewhat off of the usual thing that or the usual of the things you would expect from a Blind Guardian song. It was an epic stuff, but it was overly epic. I mean, if you look at all the melodies and the bits and parts that are combined to this very complex structure, it's 3 songs in one, I believe, or maybe 4, or how you may ever look at it. And it took a long time for me to love it, like I love every Blind Guardian song today. But this one maybe took the longest time to reach my heart. But I cherish it today as much as I cherish any Blind Guardian song.
And that's the thing too, is there's some songs that grow on you. Like first time I heard Mordred's song, it didn't grab me the same way. But actually, ironically enough, the Imaginations Through Looking Glass, how he does the tone with his guitar, and really everything about it's really, really nice when it comes to it. But I find that the definitive version, because for me, until I saw the DVD and I'd seen that version of Mordred's, it didn't hit me the same way as a lot of other Blind Guardian songs. It didn't speak to me in the same way. But it's amazing how just seeing one of their renditions or a different version of one of their songs can really kind of change your opinion of it, because they're masters at being able to adapt music, and change it differently. I mean, Silence is a perfect example, because you have what it can sound like live. You have 3 different versions of it. Even just from a studio standpoint. So
good.
You know what I'm saying? Am I making sense? I think I'm rambling here a little bit, but
no, it's okay. That's the in-depth review of a live rendition. It's okay. I believe that everybody has sort of a different feeling to each song that is played live at any occasion. So that what we talk about maybe to us, to the 2 of us, but maybe if a third person listens to that song and says, no way, this is the best rendition of this song in like ever, or whatever. I looked at I re-watched the DVD, I think 1 week ago, and I tried to figure out which of those songs I like best, and I failed.
It's hard, because there's so many good performances.
It's hard, and I have only found of this 20-piece set list on the DVD. I have only found one thing, one song that I didn't love as much as I love the other songs, but it's still a great thing. And I believe that song was "I'm Alive," when I'm right, because I didn't. No, it's unfair to say that I didn't like the song on the album, because I did like it. But I thought that I had to choose one in preparation for this interview. I don't know if that makes sense at all.
No, it was one of my questions. So I was getting to. I'm glad you caught it. So it's funny that you mentioned that, because I feel like that one visually had some of the stronger, like for the light show. It definitely had some of the cool lights, but
yes, it did, of course. But maybe this isn't. Maybe this is what I want to say. This is a song for whatever reason I cannot relate to emotionally. Okay, I hear that song and say, okay, it's great. It has that great verses, and it has that great chorus and whatever. But there's something that doesn't ignite a fire inside of me. Okay, like the other 19 songs do in a heartbeat. Okay, I listen to one of the songs, I have goosebumps. That does not happen when listening to "I'm Alive," and I cannot tell you why. And maybe this is the one thing I wanted to say 2 minutes ago when I started stumbling through words and sentences. But it's a highly personal thing, which which of these songs or which show that you watch touches you. Okay, you cannot predetermine it. You can only look at it in a retrospective. Okay, you cannot go and say, oh, I'm going to love this show. You of course you can say it, but it might also always happen that you I don't know, you are not as overwhelmed as you think you will be. Does that make sense?
Oh, 100%. And I think that's just it, right? I mean, obviously, a disclaimer to everybody watching. This this is our opinions on it. This isn't the definitive. Just because for Ica, having been to the festival, this holds a very special place in his heart. For me, having seen it as, one of the few live DVDs that I actually do enjoy, it's a huge part for me. Might not be the same for everybody. So, take it with a grain of salt. This is our opinions and stuff like that, but there is a certain amount of Blind Guardian music. The ones that really hit home in the heart, for me anyways, are always the ones that touch me emotionally. Like The Elder off Nightfall, right? I mean, the whole album is beautiful front to back, and I love it. But there's something about The Elder that just resonates with me on an emotional level. And I think that's kind of what you were touching on too, right? I mean, you just weren't getting that from, I'm Alive. But, the ones that do it so well that it kind of shakes you to your core, right?
That's true. That's something that might strike you out of nowhere. Okay, I wouldn't say that The Elder is a typical heavy metal song. It is not. It's a piano piece, right? Mostly, but it touches something inside of you. It makes something reverbing. You can feel the song after you stopped listening to it. The song's over, and you can still feel that there's something going on inside of you because you listen to it. And this is what makes a great song, I believe. And this is, again, a highly personal and maybe even intimate thing, choosing or having your souls choosing the songs it likes, okay?
Well said, man. Like, really well said. Beautiful. You summed it up so well. Well, I could talk about the set all day long, and especially Nightfall. But I know that it's quite late your time as well. So I'm curious to know, just going from the DVD to your experiences at the actual festival, how much did the set list change? Do you remember? Like, what's the difference between the set list? Obviously being taken from two shows, but was the set list the same every night, and was the order the same for the DVD?
No, it was. Wow, I have to. I looked it up. I have to admit, I looked it up on setlist.fm.
Well, it's been like 16 years, right?
Yeah, I can remember some stuff, but it was not everything in every detail. Okay, but the set lists altered from night to night. It was both of the times it was War of Ra as a intro piece, but the songs were, I believe, totally different from evening to evening. Let me have a look, okay?
Sure, yeah, take your time, man.
Yeah.
The other thing I did want to ask as well,
please.
while we're on the subject of, like, as a whole, the shows that Blind Guardian did, what song on the DVD would you say captures the magic most? What when you watch it, what makes you feel like you're there the most? What one brings you to the festival every time you see it?
I would say it's two songs. Yeah, it's two songs. One is The Lord of the Rings. It is a highly emotional song. It is also a song the biggest part of the crowd, if not any of the attendees, might interact with, because I believe that everybody knows the lyrics, and everybody can use this opportunity to be a part of the show, to sing it, and standing in this crowd in in the darkness of this festival's night with 10,000 people vowing to keep the One Ring and throw it into the fires of Mordor, is a very special occasion that I really love to remember. That is the one song. And I'm browsing through the set list on the second screen. Wait up. And
not a problem, man. It's not, it's not that huge a deal. I just was curious.
Okay.
From your recollection.
It's hard to choose which one of the songs I like best or which one makes the memories pop the most, because it's a best of. Okay, like every live show a band plays is supposed to be their best of. No band enters the stage and says, let's play a mediocre stuff tonight. Maybe nobody will notice. No, but even in retrospect, these were two perfect nights. Okay, and so every of the songs they played carries a lot of memories to it.
I guess that makes sense. So
okay, great.
it's the DVD as a whole that brings you back to it. Then, hey, it's just really there's a bit of every song. Is that fair to say? There's a bit of every song.
That's a fair thing. It's the whole package that is like a time, or works like a time machine.
Just moving past imaginations now too. Okay. Obviously, this festival means a lot to you. You've started a petition for it. Why is it so important to you, Eike?
Okay. This festival was the epitome of a live show. Okay. If you look up in a encyclopedia, look up what it means to do a live show. This should be it. There should be a picture of this DVD and maybe this ticket or whatever, and says this is how a festival has to look. Okay. And it was in April, in the midst of April in this year, and I don't know why, but I asked myself. I remember. I was browsing through the Blind Guardian Bards Tavern Facebook group, okay, and I looked at the things people were talking about, trying to I don't know, maybe interact or find some news or whatever, and it came to me that many of those people were actually too young to having attended this festival. Like I believe you were, right? You said you were.
It was a little before my time. I mean, I would have been probably. Oh, geez, how old would I have been into that? I would have been like early teens, maybe. Very, very young.
Yeah. So my mind started wandering off, and I asked myself what it would mean to get another Blind Guardian festival. So the fans from today, which are in the same situation as I were in 2003, would get to see or to attend such a magic night. Okay. And I asked the people. I wrote a post that said, what would it take us to get another Blind Guardian festival? Just out of mere interest. I had 5 minutes to type that posting, and people started to reply. And one of the first replies I got was, do it yourself. Set up a Blind Guardian festival, invite the band, make them play. Which is, yeah, of course, why not? I'm hosting birthday parties, why not do this next step? No, this is totally... Okay, maybe this was sort of a joke. It's okay. Won't happen. Don't care. But the second thing that somebody wrote was, he meant it jokingly, but I somehow started thinking very stern about it. And he said, why don't you bribe the band? And I said, yeah, okay. And so there are 3 things you can bribe musicians with. And maybe you are a musician. Maybe you can subscribe to this, or maybe say this.
I'm listening.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe the first thing you can bribe a musician with is money. Okay. But we're talking Blind Guardian, which is major league music, major league band. They want major league money. I don't have major league money. Out of league. Okay. First thing, money is off the table. Second thing, with which you can bribe a musician with, is alcohol. I don't believe this works on a entry-level musicians very well. Again, major league musicians made by their own booze. Doesn't work, discarded. Okay. The third thing, which is with which you can bribe a musician, is love and affection. Show them your personal gratitude for what they do. And so I went on thinking from that point, what can we as fans do to get the band to notice that some of us, maybe not only the elder gentlemen like I am right now, but also the younger, want to experience such a magic night again. And I said, okay, we have to ask the band to do this. Okay, but many people do. I've read interviews and interviews and interviews of people asking Blind Guardian, when do we get another Blind Guardian festival? Yeah, maybe we are thinking about it. Okay, this was the media for the past, I don't know, 10 years or whatever.
Exactly. And the thing that keeps coming up, I mean, from what I've read in those interviews, is always, finance. They're always like, well, we're not sure if we could get enough people to come to it.
The thing is, I read all the interviews, and I read the posters for people that asked the band in the situations always, I attended the concert and then met the band backstage, and I personally asked them what's up with the Blind Guardian Festival, and everybody said maybe. The band said maybe at every time, every occasion, the band said maybe. And so I thought, well, okay, if one person asks to get a maybe this changes if I get 1,000 people to ask at the same time, what's up with the new Blind Guardian Festival? And so how do you get 1,000 people to ask at the same time? You get their signatures, okay? You get one person, me collecting all the stuff, and in the name of 1,000 or whatever many people I'm able to get, this is our question. Would you do that again for us, please?
No.
Okay.
How many people are you hoping to get, Eike?
The thing is, I have gone through this question in the past 6 months many times. Okay, I started this without any thought of how many people it would take to get some attention from the band to this topic, and how many people I personally am able to reach out to. And this turned out to be the major key. To reach out to people is a hard thing today. And the first number I came up with was 5,000 people. Okay, no, 6,000 people, because this resembles 1 per mil. No, 1% of the Blind Guardian fans on Facebook. Okay. And in Germany, 1% of a total of a mass is called a valuable mass. You can take this 1% and say, okay, if 1% says something like that, you can extrapolate it to the missing 99%. This is the way I explained it now is scientifically totally incorrect, but maybe you catch it.
And I think we're all following you, man. No worries.
Okay. And so I set up this petition and started mailing people and trying to get in contact and involved with people. And I pretty early found out that I would fail to get 6,000 signatures, because the velocity the petition took on, the amount of signatures coming in by the day was much too low to get this enormous amount of people, 6,000 people, in a valuable time. It would take about 2 or 3 or maybe 3.5 or 4 years to get 6,000 people at the current velocity the petition has. Got it?
I think I follow you.
It's
a high
I had
number.
yeah, it's a high number, and I had to tone down a little. And so I asked my wife, what shall I do? I started this, where do I take this? And she said, why don't you give it 2 goals? The first is try to make it 1,000 for having a symbolic number. Okay, try to make it 1,000 or run it with all your power until Christmas, and then stop. And I found this in terms of project management to be a well manageable set of goals, because if I would lose or if I would lose velocity over the year and maybe get 10 or 15 or 20 signatures by the month, it would still be a long streak to get the 1,000 signatures that I want to go to. But
and you're hoping to get that by December, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, that might. Yeah, I looked at the numbers. I looked at the increasing amount of signatures by the day and by the week and by a course of 3 weeks or whatever, and I figured out, okay, 1,000 signatures by the midst of December should be possible to manage, as long as I personally am able to reach enough people each week, and as long as the media I write to plays along and somehow promotes the petition. And it turned out quite well until now. I checked the numbers. I checked the numbers before we started to speak, and we're about 896 people, I think, and it's November 3rd right now. So I have the strong gut feeling that the thousandth signature might come in at December 15th. I hope so. Okay, and so this would be so this is the major goal in terms of numbers that I am heading towards now.
Okay. Now, since I mean, we're not by any means like a huge media outlet or anything, we're just fans, kind of podcast and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm hoping that we can reach some people that you haven't talked to yet, some people that can get behind this petition. But if you had the chance to talk to a Blind Guardian member about this, what would you say to Blind Guardian if you had the floor?
That's a very good question that I have to pose myself to again, because I will have to write a cover letter for this petition. Okay, you can't just send in a set of numbers, a set of names, and say, well, that's it. Do whatever you want with this, and then head off because you chicken out or whatever. No, you have to write a cover letter that expresses why you did this and why this is important for you and why this is important for those, I hope so, 1,000 people all over the world. Okay, and I rewrote this letter at least 2 times right now, because I drafted the first version of it in May. In May, we did not know anything or not very much about the Legacy of the Darklands album, which will be available in 5 days, I believe.
I know, it's baffling, isn't it? I'm very excited.
Yeah. And the Legacy of the Darklands album triggered off 2 other things. Okay, the first thing is that the band in older interviews in 2018, in 2016 and 13, whatever you look at it, said, yeah, we could maybe think of setting up a second Blind Guardian festival if it is in connection with the orchestral album, which didn't have a name by then. And this is a one of the maybes that occurred over the years that has sort of a pattern to it. Okay, the band is asked, "Do you want? Would you do a Blind Guardian festival again?" Yeah, maybe, but well, maybe in connection with the orchestral album. This goes on and on and on through interviews, and so by July 9th, when we had the first communication from Blind Guardian about the upcoming album, I thought, well, maybe the time's right now. maybe this is maybe I wasn't that wrong with the feeling I had in April, and the band gave 2 interviews about that, which were highly interesting concerning a new Blind Guardian open air. The first one was the Mitch Lafon interview in early September, in which Hansi himself spoke about pondering a new Blind Guardian festival of any sort in connection with the orchestral album. And the second one was a interview with Andre Olbrich, I believe, who basically said the same thing. They had different opinions about how this would work out as a festival, and how much time, not how much time, how the orchestral album would be presented on the festival, and on and on. But these new information altered the things I had to put in this cover letter. It somewhat changed the tone from coming out of nowhere, the April version, hey, what's up with the Blind Guardian Festival? Why don't we do it again? Here's 1,000 people. To a thing that says, well, you are thinking about it. And if you ever are in doubt if this is a good idea, I have here the list of hopefully 1,000 people who tell you that they would travel from anywhere in the world to see this. Okay? You have our backup and our reassurance on that. And this is what the recent version of the cover letter says.
And it's interesting you bring up those interviews too, because you posted the Andre one and actually the Hanse one too. I think either you or Yulia, another one of our members on the community, had posted, and they're both really interesting. But what's interesting to me about Andre's is how he mentions that it could be something along the lines of a epic. Their epics, Sacred Worlds, Wheel of Time, that sort of thing, mixed in with the Legacy, which would be really cool to see. As well, I think, which is interesting too, because when I was doing research, as those of you that have seen the first video might know too, like I had done some research regarding the orchestral project, and one of the things that did come up, although I'm not sure if I brought it up in the podcast or not, one thing that did come up was Marcus had mentioned that traveling with an orchestra was huge, but the possibility of doing something with the classical album regarding the Blind Guardian Open Air Festival is. So it's interesting to see. Now we have 3 members who have touched on it, and more too. I mean, obviously there's a lot more to it than just that, but it certainly seems like it could be an exciting time for us, I think. And I'm hoping your dreams come into fruition, my friend.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe this isn't the dream of me as a single fan, but maybe it's the voice of many people. It's basically the voice of 896 people right now that says this is a valid idea to us, and we would love to see that.
Of which I am one of them.
Yes.
But for those who haven't signed the petition yet, where can we go? It's change.org, is that right?
Change.org/ let me look. I chose sort of a cryptic URL, which was not one of my brightest moments.
Not a problem, man.
Okay, it's change.org/P for petition, whatever this is, /blind minus guardian minus open minus air minus act minus 2. Is that long enough?
Hey, you know what? We will throw a link in the description below. I urge everybody watching this video to go over there and check it out. I've signed it. A ton of our community has signed it already, but we need at least 1,000, if not more. So this is our urge to you to get on there and make your voice heard. If you haven't, if this is the first you're hearing of the Blind Guardian Open Air, again, we urge you to go back and check out Imaginations Through Looking Glass. It captures at least some of the magic. And after after you get to Mir at the very end there, you'll be left kind of with a feeling of what's next. And I think that's just it, right? We were promised. Hansi promised us. He promised us in the interview on Disc 2 that there would be another edition of it. It had been talked about in multiples, but I mean, one more would at least be something.
Yeah, I believe it's the perfect occasion. It's perfect, the perfect time with having the orchestral album finally done, and with a new studio album coming up in the end of 2020 or the start of 2021, with a maybe or maybe not upcoming tour. I believe this would be the perfect moment to put another everything else overshining highlight of a live gig to the lives of many Blind Guardian fans all around the world.
Amen to that. Well, Ika, it's been a pleasure talking with you, my friend. Do you have any last words for those in the community and the viewers that are watching?
I first would like to thank you for having me tonight and for listening to me more than 1 hour stumbling through your language.
Well, you did great, man. Fantastic.
But I would really like to thank the people that are hands-on involved in this, because this is not only me. Okay, this is me sitting here and talking to you, and me posting all the stuff, and me I don't know, doing all the things you can see, but there have been at least 10 people actively involved in doing great parts of this. Okay, I'm posting all this stuff in English, and I have sent out at least 50, no, many more, 150 to 200 emails to media stations and to magazines and to whoever it may concern all around the globe in 6 languages. Okay, and this was only possible because I found people translating this stuff for me, because I do not speak Spanish, I do not speak Portuguese, I do not speak Polish or Greek or French or Italian or any of those languages. Any of those languages, full stop. And I found people in the Blind Guardian Bards Tavern group that says, okay, I want to weigh in this. I'm from a guy from Mexico. I'm from Mexico. I speak Spanish. I gotta translate this press release into Spanish. Okay, another guy raised his hand and said, I do not speak Polish, but I have a colleague at work who speaks Polish, and I give that press release to him, and he will translate it, and I will send it back to you. Same with the guy who speaks Greek. Same with 2 people, two Italian fans that said, I want to be part of this. I want to translate stuff. And this goes on and on and on. And I'm sitting here and talking to you, and I got to do all those fun stuff on the web, but it's many people having a hands-on effort on this. Okay, and maybe this is one of the takeaway. No, it's 2 takeaway lessons. If you're a Blind Guardian fan, you're not alone. Okay, you always have great people around you that make your time worthwhile. And the second thing is, you cannot do things on your own that go over a certain quality. You cannot do something like this just on your own. You will fail. You will need people that back you up. Okay, this is the second takeaway lesson for this.
Well said, man. And for for the part of us in the Twilight Hall, I can promise that I'll do my best to share this video around and your petition as well. If you can get me the names of the people who also were involved who kindly helped translate, I'll make sure to include them as thank yous in the description below. And I can't thank you enough for coming on, Ika. Thank you so much. So,
thank you.
This, dear friends, closes another chapter in podcast from the Twilight world. If you like what you saw, please hit like and subscribe and join our Bardic community with our friends like Ika and so many others over on Facebook. We'd appreciate that as well. But for now, let's leave it to the memories and kiss the wind goodbye.